If you're thinking about retiring in Spain, you've probably heard all sorts of things. You have to buy a house, you'll be taxed twice on your pension, healthcare is unaffordable, and the paperwork will finish you off. Over the last few weeks, I've spoken to so many retirees at different stages of their journey, from we're just exploring to we've printed the forms and we've booked our appointment. The same fears keep coming up again and again. So, in this video, I'm going to bust the top 10 myths about retiring in Spain and give you the real steps that my clients actually use. And if you're serious about making this move, I've put together a step-by-step retirement guide for Spain that walks you through everything in order: the visa, pensions, healthcare, tax, timing, and the checklist that you'll need. You'll find the link in the description, my bio, and the comments. So let's go through these. Myth number one: you have to buy a property in Spain. I got this question the other day. Do we have to buy before applying for the non-lucrative visa? We haven't chosen an area yet, but we don't want to get rejected. The truth is, you don't need to buy. What you actually need is proof of accommodation. And a long-term rental contract for year one is absolutely fine. On a recent call, the couple I spoke to were stressing over whether to rush into buying or delay their visa. What we mapped out instead was a rental for the first year so they could learn the area properly and make a better choice later. And this is something I often recommend, is that you do rent before jumping straight into buying a property, because what if you don't like the area? What if you don't settle in? Myth number two: you can't do this without a solicitor. I had someone ask me, do you need to pay a solicitor thousands or can you do it yourself? The answer is you can do it yourself. If your case is straightforward, you can DIY with a clear step by step, which is exactly what my guide gives you. That said, I do recommend using a solicitor when you need one for tricky cases or if you simply want peace of mind. Here's the reality: a full solicitor service for the non-lucrative visa is usually around €1,000 to €2,000 per applicant. So for a couple, you're often looking at €2,000 to €3,500 in total. But with my step-by-step guide, a lot of retirees are able to do it themselves and save all that money. I always tell my clients whether DIY is enough or whether the solicitor is a safer route. I'm always honest with them, and I've got several solicitors that I work with and recommend daily. Myth number three: the income requirement is unclear. One follower wrote to me, how much money do you actually need for the NLV? We've seen different figures everywhere. Somebody else said, does a pension count? What about rental income? So let's clear this up for 2025. You need €28,800 per year for the main applicant, plus 7,200 for each additional family member. And then for renewals, you do need more. For years 2 and 3, that requires 2 years of funds, so that's €57,600 plus dependent. Then for years 4 and 5, again, 2 years of funds, so another €57,600 plus dependents. Now, how do you actually prove this? State pension award letters, bank statements, private pensions with regular statements, rental income with tenancy agreements, bank transfers, investments and dividends with portfolio statements, and of course, savings. But ideally shown over 6 to 12 months, not just a lump sum appearing suddenly, unless you can show how it got there. I had one couple who thought that pensions and rent were too messy to show. Once we pulled the paperwork together clearly, they were well above the threshold. It's about presentation, not magic. Myth number 4: you can't keep your UK property. I've had this exact question. Do we have to sell our UK house to keep the visa, or can we keep it and rent it out? The answer is yes, you can keep it. Loads of retirees do. Some rent it out, some let family live there. A lady who I spoke to recently, who's moving to Javier next year, is keeping hers for her daughter. The visa doesn't require you to sell up. You just need accommodation in Spain as well. Myth number 5: you'll lose your UK pension or be taxed twice on it. This is one of the most common worries. I had a question from one of my followers saying they want to retire to Spain, but they heard taxes were too high. If they sold the UK property, what were the ramifications for tax and savings because they're on UK pensions? So here's the truth: you don't lose your pension. You can still receive it in Spain, and it continues to be uprated every year because Spain is in the EU. On tax, there's a UK-Spain double tax treaty that means that you won't be taxed twice on the same income. In practice, once you're tax resident in Spain, most private pensions are taxed here in Spain. Certain UK government service pensions are still taxed in the UK. The important thing is timing. A lot of retirees take their 25% pension lump sum in the UK before they become tax resident in Spain. If you take it afterwards, it could be taxed here. That's why the order of the move really matters. And I always recommend getting proper tax advice before you set dates or sell anything. I can connect you with people that I trust. Myth number 6: healthcare will be impossible or unaffordable. One of the big questions I had recently was, what's the cost of healthcare in Spain if I retire? Will I need private insurance forever? Somebody else asked, can I join the Spanish health system before pension age? So when you apply for the first time for your non-lucrative visa, you do need full private health insurance. And for retirees in their 60s, you should expect a budget in the hundreds per month per person. Don't guess. You can get a personalised quote through my link, and I recommend that you do that early. Now, after you're here, if you're a UK state pensioner, you can use the S1 scheme to join Spain's public system. If you're under pension age, you can apply for the Convenio Especial after 12 months of legal residence, paying a monthly fee for full access to the public system. So you've always got healthcare options. Myth number 7: tax will eat everything, especially if you own property. This is another one I get all the time. Should we sell our house in the UK before or after moving to Spain? And what happens with capital gains tax? And another, when exactly do you become tax resident in Spain? Is it the day you arrive? After 6 months? Here's what you need to know. You're considered tax resident in Spain if you spend more than 183 days in Spain in a calendar year. That's 1st of January to 31st of December. Or if your centre of vital interest is here. For example, if your spouse or minor children live here full time. 2 examples. If you arrive on the 1st of September, you'll only spend about 122 days that year in Spain. That means you wouldn't be tax resident until the following January. But if you arrive in March, you'll easily cross the 183 days by September and you'll be tax resident for the whole year. And for property sales, if you sell a UK property after becoming tax resident in Spain, you might be exposed to Spanish capital gains tax as well as the UK rules. So many retirees therefore complete the property sales before they trigger the Spanish tax residency. That way, it's handled under the UK system only. The order matters. And again, always get tax advice before you fix your dates. I cannot stress that enough. Myth number 8: the bureaucracy makes it impossible. One question I get all the time is, how do you even know what order to do things in? Translations, apostles, booking appointments, it feels like a maze, and I totally get that. Spanish paperwork does have a reputation, but it's not impossible. On calls with clients, we map out the exact order: police checks, translations, apostles, health insurance, accommodation proof, application filing, visa collection, and then the Spain side steps. Once you've got the order, it's just a checklist to tick off. Myth number 9: you can't cope without speaking Spanish. This one comes up a lot. We don't speak Spanish. Does that mean we can't move? And the truth is, you can. Thousands of retirees move with little or no Spanish at the start. For paperwork, you can use translators, solicitors, and for daily life, you'll get by in tourist-heavy areas. However, your experience will be so much richer if you learn even just a bit. On my calls, I always encourage everybody to focus on the basics before you arrive. Greetings, polite requests, healthcare, vocabulary. You do not need to be fluent, but showing effort makes a huge difference to how welcome you will feel. If you show respect in Spain by learning their language, it will be so much easier for you to integrate. And myth number 10, the cost of living is basically the same as the UK. I had a comment last week that said, I've heard Spain isn't cheaper anymore. Is the cost of living really any different to the UK? And somebody else said, we're on a fixed pension and don't want to scrape by. So Spain can be significantly cheaper for groceries, eating out, healthcare and housing, but it totally depends on where you choose. If you're living in central Barcelona or Marbella, it's not cheap. But inland, Andalusia, parts of Alicante, Murcia, your pension goes a lot further. I've had clients realise that their quality of life in Spain is higher than the UK once we price their actual basket: utilities, weekly shop, meals out. That's the top 10 myths busted. So here's the recap. Solicitors usually cost €1,000 to €2,000 per applicant, but with a clear step-by-step, you can save that if your case is simple. The non-lucrative visa for 2025 is €28,800 a year plus €7,200 per family member, and you'll need to show more at renewals. You don't lose your UK pension, you won't be taxed twice because of the treaty, but timing is key. Healthcare starts private, then you can move on to the S1 or Convenio Especial. And for tax residency and property sales, the dates and the order matter, so always plan before you trigger anything. If you're starting out, download my free Spain starter kit And if you're ready to move, my retirement guide and bundles give you the full step-by-step with templates and timelines. And if you want me to map your exact pensions, property, insurance, and move dates, book a one-to-one call. I do this with people every week, and I'd love to hear from you. Which myth worried you the most? Was it pensions, CGT, healthcare? Drop it in the comments and I'll drop you an answer. And if you'd like me to do a part 2 on timelines, move date strategies, just tell me and I'll film it. And if you want to see more of this content, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe.